Okay, we're on lesson number 6, follow-up. This is the last of the 6 lessons. This is an important part of the sale because if you do everything else correctly, closing, educating the customer, and contacting, if you do not follow up in certain key areas, you don't get paid. And that's why we're all out doing the summer program, is to get paid. So just a few ideas here. Phone numbers. One of the best ways to make sales is to, when you're at the door, if they will not make a buying decision then I'll get their name and their phone number. Make sure that you call them back and let them know that you're serious, that you are listening to them. Let me give you an example of what I mean about about getting phone numbers and with the follow-up in particular. When I have, normally what I do is I make a sheet of paper that looks something like this. Along this side I have the names, where I put the names of the customers right there. Obviously right here I put their phone number in a grid like that, and then I just put letters for the day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then I just simply go like this. Now, if I speak with Joe and I get his number, 555 something, and then I'm speaking to him on Monday and he says, call me back on Thursday, I'll know then I just put an X right there. Or if not that, I'll put the actual time, like call him after 5 o'clock. I'll put it in that little box on Thursday for Joe. And then as I go down the list, if I had Lisa and so forth, then put their number and make sure that you follow up. And now if you call them on this day and they are not there, then I just simply move them to the next day. And so on Friday, I have all of my numbers for that week. And then simply I just go down and say, okay, I only have 4 calls that I need to make tonight, and then I can quit working. But if you follow up with the phone numbers that you get, you're going to be very successful this summer. In fact, there have been days where I come home with no sales on the doors and am able to close 5 or 6 sales just on the phones. This is a huge way to make additional money. Make sure that you use your phone numbers wisely. Now, as far as asking for referrals, one of the best ways to get a customer to agree to get a satellite dish is by giving them some sort of benefit, like I'll give you this if you give me some referrals. And sometimes it'll help, you can actually use it as a close. But I want to demonstrate to you something that Skeeter Ellison does that he did last summer, and it was one of the best ways that I found to remember to ask for referrals. As he gets done filling out the actual contract itself, once he finishes with that, he takes that off the top of his binder, tears off the carbon copy, gives it to the customer, and then he puts this away. When he puts that away inside of his binder, on top of the binder he actually has a names list. And so when you go out contacting, he had the names list, a contract, and the laminate on top of that. As you make a sale, when you're about to make a closing decision, you simply move this to the back of that, fill out the contract. When you're finished filling out the agreement, you give them their copy, put this away inside the binder, and then you have a names list, and it reminds you to say, you know what, do you know anyone else who would like to get a satellite dish? And they will give you more names. One of the tricks to making sure that people stay with their decisions is by helping them get other people to do it. It makes them feel justified in their decision. So if you can get a customer to give you names of friends who may want to get a satellite dish and they agree to get a satellite dish, the customer feels like he made a wise decision because other people that he respects are also making that decision. Okay, as far as installed accounts, if you know that a customer is getting a satellite dish installed that day and they're getting one of these, I would do it with one of these. If they're getting a DVR, a 522 or a 510, or if they're getting a high definition television receiver like an 811, then I would actually call up that customer and say, would you mind if I came by sometime after it was installed? I would probably do it after the selling hours are over. If they'll allow you to come by as late as 9 o'clock, I would. I'd show up to their home and show them how to use the remote control. There are 2 reasons why people actually cancel their accounts, which means you don't get paid. It's if they don't understand their first month's bill, And you can explain that to them at the time of signing the agreement. But also, if they get the remote control and they don't understand how to use it, especially with elderly customers, one of the best things you can do is go to their home, especially if they're getting one of these receivers, or even if it's a 311. It'll work just the same, however, you might not get the excitement that you'd get out of one of those. Show up and say, I want to show you how to use the remote control. Show them how to use features such as slow motion, or how to take advantage of having the DVR record a program that they've wanted to watch forever, but it's in the middle of the workday, or something along those lines that the dish offers them that cable can't touch. And as you start to reveal things like that to them, they start getting excited about the product, and when that excitement level's high, who else do you know that might want to get a satellite system just like this? I'm going to give them the exact same deal that I gave you. Another trick here is when they give you a name and a phone number, say, would you mind giving them a call right here? And a lot of times they will call the customer for you and say, hey Bob, this is Seth. I have a guy here speaking with me right now. He's giving me a great deal. You might be interested. Have you thought about getting TiVo? And then he'll hand you the phone, and it makes that contact very warm, and the customer almost feels obligated to get it from you because you're a friend of their friend. Another thing, this is something that I wish I would have done when I first started selling in general, when I started with pest control, is just keep track of all of my carbon copies. One of the first purchases that I would make as a salesman is just a 3-ring binder for $2 down at Staples. When I get that binder, as an office manager, I would recommend the office managers going and getting a 3-ring hole punch so that you can take the carbon copies, stick them in the hole punch it, and then put them inside of a binder or some sort of filing system. When you put those things away, make sure that you have them chronologically or organized so that you can tell what day they're supposed to be installed. Then when you get home at night, if you know you have 5 jobs that are supposed to get installed that day, you make sure and follow up with the installer or installers and the admin to make sure that all of those jobs that you've spent all of your time selling have been installed. If they have not been installed, I want to know why, and I also want to call that customer as soon as possible and reschedule that sale. So remember, keep your carbon copies, organize it in a way so that you can keep track of when it's supposed to be installed, and follow up with that customer if it's not installed. Also make sure that when you know it has been installed, move those contracts or mark them in some sort of way so that you know it's to be paid. And then check DishStar. Go on DishStar, use your username and password, check to see if you have been paid on each of those accounts. When you've been paid, then move them to another file, or another folder. Just have one folder for things that haven't been paid, have one folder for things that have been paid. Just keep track of your sales. iSatellite is not in the business of not paying people when they've earned sales. However, with the thousands of sales that come through the company, you make sure you follow up and make sure that iSatellite is paying you for each of those sales that you've earned. Okay, and then finally, paperwork. If you want to be paid, make sure that you take the time to fill the paperwork out correctly. Follow the instructions given on this tape, or just the instructions that your managers give you. When you're filling out a contract or an agreement, make sure that agreement is filled out slowly with the best handwriting that you have. If you want to get paid, make sure the paperwork is filled out and follow up with your installer. If you make a sell over the phone which still requires a signature, make sure you highlight that portion so when the installer shows up, he's getting the signature on that agreement. But if not, follow up, make sure that agreement gets a signature from the customer, because if not, you won't get paid. So just follow these 6 steps. Again, it's going to mean more money for you. I think you'll have great success if you do that.